At the beginning of the film, we are shown a couple who had a baby a few days ago, but for some reason, both were worried and scared and were breaking all the mirrors of their house. The mother of the child puts her child in the swing and goes out for some work. After this, we see a strange scene. A baby monster comes out of the swing that puts a slight cut on the child's spine, due to which his blood starts coming out. On the other hand, when the child's father goes to break the last glass, he couldn't because a witch comes out and ends him. When the child's mother comes back, she gets scared to see that her child is also dead. His body was blue, which looked like he had been dead for a long time. Now the witch disappears as she came suddenly and it was difficult to understand. Anyway, after a while, we see a couple again, who also had a child a while ago. The name of the woman in them was Rachel and they come to live in a new place. They were just keeping their luggage that at this time a parcel comes for them. This was sent by Rachel's mother having some boxes and toys, which were of Rachel's sister and her daughter. Rachel's sister was no one else but the same woman we saw at the beginning, and everything happened to her daughter and husband means the witch and the baby monster killed them. Now we know what happened to them, but why? We will get the answer to this question later in the story. Rachel is not happy to see the stuff, thinking that my mother sent old stuff for my child and the toy of that child, who is dead, on which her husband says that what happened to your sister was an accident. Now it would be better if we do not make those things a delusion. There was also a book in these things, in which some lines were written in another language. There were some pictures and a tune was also made. Now Rachel did not understand this language but her husband knew a little. That's why he checks the book and tells these lines and tunes are lullabies. A lullaby. Now Rachel starts humming it, but because of a call, she becomes quiet and shuts the book. A few days pass and their child always cries like the rest of the children and does not sleep. That's why both were worried. Not only worried but tired, thinking that it is not easy to raise children. Both were taking leave from their work and taking care of their child. Now Rachel was a businesswoman while her husband was an artist. Today he has an art exhibition. It was being displayed, that's why her husband goes to work. Rachel takes care of him alone. She tries to calm him down by making him quiet, but he does not sleep. Then when she was taking out the bedsheet for him, she gets the same book in which that lullaby was written. Now as Rachel hums it, her child goes to sleep very comfortably, but at the same time, we see cracks on a glass of the house, which was strange. When her husband returns from work at night, Rachel tells him that I sang a lullaby to baby and he slept very comfortably, with which he too becomes happy. After this, the two of them go to sleep, with whom the baby screen was kept, which was in their child's room, where suddenly a witch comes out of the swing and starts coming to her. Rachel feels that there is someone in the child's room, so she immediately goes to his room, but there is no one there. The door of the closet was open. After checking it, there is nothing inside it. When Rachel looks at the baby screen, she thinks that maybe it is broken, so she throws it in the trash. When she was coming out, she feels movement everywhere. She checks the whole house, but she does not get anything, and then when she was looking at herself in the mirror, we could also see the witch behind her spying on her, but Rachel does not see her. In addition to this, there are more cracks on that broken glass. When her husband was bathing, Rachel comes to him, but still he sees the same witch in the mirror, which scares him a lot and he pushes her aside. Rachel was upset about this. After this, she goes to get a new baby screen, where she suddenly sees darkness. Along with that, the witch who was scaring her. Rachel gets scared to see her, means that there must have been some strange things in their house, which are not only happening at home, but also happening outside. Now the witch was keeping an eye on Rachel and her child from inside the mirror, and the cracks were also increasing on her. Now Rachel hears her crying from her child's room, but surprisingly, she was with her. That's why she goes to check her room, where another child was crying in the swing. As she removes the blanket, there was no child there but a toy. She was scared of all these things, and the doors around were also opening and closing on their own, so she goes out of the house and sits down. When her husband comes home, she also tells him that I am scared, maybe there is someone inside the house. So now he goes inside with a rod and starts checking, but he also does not see anyone there. But in a hurry, his parrot comes out of its cage and starts flying there, and by mistake he kills the parrot. Now this parrot was with him since childhood, so he was sad. That's when Rachel comes and takes care of him and says that maybe it's my fault in all this. I'm going crazy like my sister right now, on which he explains to her that you are not at fault in this. Your sister had gone completely crazy, who had covered her child's body for weeks. You are not like her at all, so don't worry. Now she tells that I see a woman like a witch who scares me. On it, her husband shows a woman to Rachel in the same book and asks, is this the same woman? Because I also saw this when I was bathing, and this woman in the book was no one else but the same witch. So they both come in a lot of tension, but somehow they decide to take care of themselves, that whatever it is, we will handle it together, and together we will finish it. Now at night Rachel's husband hears the sound of his child crying from outside while he was sleeping with them. so he wakes up in his sleep and goes to calm his child, and comes out of the house to the place where they had thrown the book. Actually, the sound of crying was coming from this book which wanted to call them to it, and now her husband comes back with the book. When Rachel was sleeping in the morning, she also had her child which suddenly disappears. The child's voice was coming from inside the bedsheet. That's why she starts looking for her child inside, where she finds her child but dead. She was scared, while in fact, her child was absolutely fine. Seeing it, she becomes fine. The next day her husband takes his child and leaves because today Rachel had to go for some important work. Rachel's husband now goes to a church where he meets a priest, while on the other side, we see Rachel going to a mental hospital where her sister was. Rachel's husband tells everything to the priest about what he had to face, and he asks about an exorcist who is an expert in controlling ghosts so that he can get some help. Hearing all this, the priest tells him that this is exactly what Rachel's sister had come to ask, and now she starts telling him about it by looking at the book. There Rachel also tells everything to her sister. Hearing this, she says, "Did you sing that lullaby?" To which Rachel answers yes. Hearing this, her sister gets scared and says that I had locked all that stuff so that no one can get it, but it has come to you. You have also sung the lullaby, so now it will be very bad.